adding women to scholarships and families is something that we know a lot about.
Yeah, absolutely. Kids in college.
Absolutely.
You bet.
Sean Payton, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, now entering year number 6. And, of course, Gary Kubiak just behind the official is Gary, and this is a critical year for him now in his 6th season. Great expectations coming into this season without question. Saints will receive. They won the toss. Brett Hartman will be kicking it away for the Texans, and Courtney Roby is back deep for New Orleans. This is a game that is generally played after the players have spent 3 or 4 days together. That's not the case this season, only because of what happened earlier this year with the lockout. And now for the Napa Auto Parts opening kickoff, we are underway in Houston. And regrettably, that's the way many a game will start, I believe, in the National Football League this season. The kick was good, by the way. I think it went through the uprights.
It went through the uprights, there's no doubt.
There's Drew Brees. And we touched on it very early. What he wants to accomplish is plenty tonight. We anticipate that he should go at least a couple of series. I think they wanted him to go more than that, less than that last week. And after what happened the first 2 series, he said, I got to get back out there.
With those numbers like what you just saw, he's expecting at least decent numbers in terms of numbers he can put on the scoreboard. I think that's going to be critical for Drew Brees tonight.
Ed Hockley already heard from tonight. Making sure that the clock is wound back to 15 until it's put in play. No time can come off that clock. Pierre Thomas finds an opening. Look out. First down, New Orleans up to the 34-yard line. A 14-yard pickup. And let's take a look at the Saints offense, brought to you by Louisiana Cat. Thomas, Hall, Moore, Meacham, the starting wide receivers. David Thomas at tight end. Up front, we'll be keeping an eye on that right side with Zach Streif, and Willie Brown will come in a bit later. Of course, Jari Evans, the All-Pro, and Nix, the guards. Jermon Bushrod, the other tackle. Twin tight end look now for Brees on 1st and 10. Jimmy Graham is coming to the game. He pump fakes to him, comes back the other way, and it's Lance Moore at the 42. And we've got a late marker down on the field. Let's take a look now at the defense, brought to you by Calco Hotard Group. J.J. White is the rookie that they're going to rely on heavily in this 3-4 to help free up those linebackers as they move Mario Williams to that weak side. He will put his hand on the ground from time to time. They're going to make him more of a pass rusher. Jackson is in the midst of quite a battle to hold on to his first-team assignment at corner. As you see, the penalty being marked off for personal foul against Houston. It was committed by Xavier Aditi.
Now there you see right there coming in. Look at that play. Number 52 come in with a late hit.
No reason for that.
Give the Saints an extra 15 yards.
Brees finds an open Darren Sproles. Sproles takes it out for what could be first down yardage, or very close to it, maybe a yard or two shy of the first down.
Yeah, you lose Reggie Bush, you pick up Darren Sproles. You still have the matchup advantage with a speedy, quick running back matched up against a fast linebacker, but you expect Darren Sproles to win those matchups much in the same way that Reggie Bush used to in this Saints offense.
Gain of 9, we'll call it 2nd and 1. Brees goes out to the flat. Sproles dropped this one, incomplete.
You know, on those plays, you might ask, well, why does Drew Brees throw the ball very hard with great velocity there? The sooner you can get the ball into the hands of the running back, it gives him time to make a move before the approaching linebacker arrives. And so you have to put velocity on that ball. I think it's a pass that Darren Sproles should have caught.
Thomas comes back into the game for Sproles on 3rd and 1. Devery Henderson is in the game at the slot. And it's Thomas off the right side. Looks as though he may have gotten the yard. Should be a first down for the Saints. Mario Williams comes away with a tackle. Number 90, the big story here in Houston, as you know, without question, Solomon, is the 3-4 story with Wade Phillips now the new head coach. And what that means for Mario Williams. Some have suggested that he's going to have to recommit himself to this changing role.
Well, I think he's got to recommit himself, but certainly I don't think he's got to do anything differently than what Bruce Smith did playing in the 3-4 defense under Wade Phillips in Buffalo.
Ingram. Mark Ingram powers his way inside the 30 to the 27-yard line. And right now, a steady diet between the tackles serving this Saints offense very well in the opening drive of the game.
And Timmy B, we started off the game saying that the defense for the Saints are going to be tested. How about this offense for the New Orleans Saints? They're going up against what is supposed to be a new and improved Houston Texans defense led by their new defensive coordinator, Wade Phillips. So we're seeing already his defense being put to the test by New Orleans.
Ingram tripped up, a little upset with himself for losing his footing. He was undercut by J.J. Watt, the first-round pick out of Wisconsin. The outstanding Badger is very talented.
The Saints have come out and run the ball very well on this first possession. Olin Kreutz in the middle of that offensive line, Jari Evans and Carl Nix. I think those three are going to make for a formidable trio in the middle of Sean Payton's offensive line. He knows that if they can dominate at the offensive line of scrimmage with the power running game, this offense goes to a whole nother level.
5 wide receiver set for Breeze on 3rd and 2. Nix up that time in the pattern, and a penalty marker comes down. Pass was intended for Jimmy Graham. He was held up by Glover Quinn, who's moved back to strong safety, and with the flag down, one has to believe that that is interference.
Before the pass was thrown, illegal contact, defense, number 29. It's a 5-yard penalty from the
right-hand slot here.
Yeah, he's going to be right here. And look at that.
Play. Sproles back into the game. Thomas, who just left, has 3 carries for 19 yards. Out of the shotgun, Thomas, the tight end, is lined up at the H-back. And look who's coming away with it. Sproles goes ahead for 4 more yards, and the utilization of Dave Thomas, this is one of the reasons why they needed him so desperately in free agency to re-sign with the Saints.
And why do you run the ball with Darren Sproles? He's not a big back, but you have to be able to run with him in the backfield. If you throw the ball every single time he lines up back there, it sort of tips your hand offensively, so you could see that Sean Payton's calling plays going against the tendency a little bit by running the ball with Darren Sproles.
Another 3rd and 1. Ingram dots the I. First down inside the 5-yard line of Houston. I mean, just plowing that Texans middle.
Coming right at you behind Olin Kreutz. Look at Carl Nix just road grading and carving a swath right through that Houston Texans defense. So this offensive line is winning at the point of attack early in this ball game, and Mark Ingram is a recipient, gaining yards along with Pierre Thomas. Right now, they're just dominating up front on the offensive line. This is way too easy for Drew Brees and company.
Henderson in motion, more to the top of your screen on 1st and goal. Play fake. Brees in some trouble, loses the ball. It's free and recovered by the Texans, it would appear.
And maybe I spoke too soon that it was getting too easy for Drew Brees and company, because they blitz, and it was a play-action pass. It appears as though Houston is going to recover the fumble after 22 interceptions. 1 year ago, we said that Drew Brees had to do a better job of taking care of the football, and now you just have to possess it. He tries to sort of swim the defender and doesn't protect the football, and the result is a fumble turnover for the New Orleans Saints offense.
Antonio Smith popped him. Mario Williams recovered it. And a Saints drive ends, sadly. Our score after a really well-run drive inside the Houston 5-yard line, ending with a turnover. The job was done defensively by the Texans with that Antonio Smith sack leading to the fumble recovery by Mario Williams. It was a 76-yard drive. You look at Matt Schaub, one of the outstanding young quarterbacks in the National Football League, and he dumps it off. And it's taken by Arian Foster, who has become the go-to back in this offense. So take a look at the Texans offense, brought to you by Calco Hotard Group. Foster is the guy they lean on. Walter's a solid possession receiver. Owen Daniels, one of the prototypical tight ends of the National Football League's future. Up front, a team that has really gotten much better in its run blocking in recent years. That's always going to be the case with this offense. They demand a running game within it. That pass is caught, and a late hit comes down. And the pass is caught by Houston. Should be enough for the first down. On the receiving end, James Casey.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, late hit, number 52. 15-yard penalty.
Now you're going to see Jonathan Casillas, number 52, watch him come in. This is a late hit on the ground. They call that spearing. You can see the late hit on Casey right there. So they're going to tack on another 15 yards. So we just saw Xavier Debe, the linebacker for Houston, call on that very same infraction.
So now the Texans into New Orleans territory just like that. Right back to the tight end, Casey again, as you look at the Saints defense now, brought to you by Louisiana Cat. Brown, Rogers, Ellis, and Smith up front in the 4-3 set. You heard Mike Neighbors talking about Jonathan Casillas. Vilma's the leader. Of course, Herring, the Auburn star by way of Seattle through free agency. Greer, Harper, Oliver gets the start for Malcolm Jenkins at free safety tonight. And Tracy Porter's back a little sooner than some had anticipated.
Offense,
and a false
65.
start.
5-yard penalty. It's second down.
Ed Hockley. Everyone recognizes Ed when he's out there without question, and we don't need to tell you why. Anchoring this crew. Went through a great deal a year ago. We don't necessarily need to document that. Most of you that have followed the National Football League for years know what we're talking about. But he has been one of the best for a long, long time.
Absolutely.
Pass is caught, first down, inside the 20 to the 15. Andre Johnson stopped by Paul Oliver.
Already we're seeing this trio of offensive weapons working against Jabari Greer, and then he just settles in the offense. And Andre Johnson just knows what he's doing. He settles in front of Paul Oliver. They find a seam in the zone, and good throw, good catch.
Tremendous numbers for Johnson to lead the National Football League. Foster, great cutback, inside the 5, down to the 3, maybe the 2. Roman Harper, after a couple of missed tackles.
You know, it's a zone blocking scheme designed to get the runner to the second level of the defense. No one does it better. And watch how they start one way, and then he'll cut. And see this backdoor seam right here? That's what he's looking for. He finds that and then make even another backside defender and Will Smith miss in the open field. And so Arian Foster leads the league in rushing 1 year ago by knowing where to cut back and how to make guys miss in the hole.
A vintage Alex Gibbs approach, always. Foster again, burrows inside the 2 and is pushed back. I've been waiting, and I know you have too, for the Texans to make their mark in their division. And this had better be it for Gary Kubiak.
Yeah.
They've been on the cusp for a long time.
But here's the deal. As an expansion team, I think they've come a long way. Now,
I agree.
Yes, there's expectations here, but Gary Kubiak created those expectations.
That's right.
Because 2 years ago, Matt Schaub leads the league in passing. Last year, his running back leads the league in rushing. And so everyone's saying, hey, what's taking you so long? Now they're waiting for the defense to catch up.
Twin tight ends for the Texans. Foster again with markers down, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown. And we'll check the marker. Looks like it could be procedure against Houston.
Defense, number 53,
Nope, offside.
Calling the defense. And we said that this defense would be tested by one of the best offenses in the National Football League. And It is Houston who takes their first possession and goes right down the field to score a touchdown.
It was Herring that was in the neutral zone for New Orleans. And now we await the point.
And look at that. It lined up right in that neutral zone infraction. And that's where they made the call. If you're going to line up in the hole, then you might as well make the tackle. Play a little bit better defense.
We have to review every touchdown. That's always the case. One of the new rules of the National Football League this year. Here's tonight's Cox Sports Television text question of the game. Who is the Saints' all-time leading scorer in the playoffs? Deuce, Morton, Garrett Hartley, Pierre Thomas. Text CST to 269-411 to get the question sent to your phone. Text your answer back, and you could win a pair of tickets to the final Saints preseason game against the Titans and a CST gift bag. One winner will be chosen at random from all eligible entries. Brought to you by Cox Sports Television's message and data rates may apply. Must be 21 years or older to attend.
Can we give them a hint? I'd like to help out our viewers. As you can see, the powerful run by Arian Foster as he gets in for a touchdown.
One of the nice things about these reviews that we have from time to time after scoring plays, gives us time to get the promos in.
Well, that's an important part of our broadcast.
I figured this,
okay.
Absolutely. We take whatever positives we can out of these new rules that are put in play.
You know, and remember, it wasn't too long ago that the NFL said, hey, we want these games to move faster. We want to speed up the time of the games, wanting games to end in roughly about 3 hours. If you're going to review every score, can't that take a while? Particularly when you have two offenses like the New Orleans Saints and the Houston Texans in a regular season game. Boy, they can light up a pinball machine. They can put the ball into the end zone a lot, and we could be here for a while.
Let me just throw this out. I like the idea of having a review of touchdown plays so that the onus is taken off of the white hat, Solomon, because I think the white hat sometimes slows the process down. This is that age-old college versus NFL
Are we going
debate.
to review what is clearly a touchdown? What are you looking for?
Yeah.
In my mind, I think you should only review controversial calls on scoring plays, not just every scoring play.
Right.
I just think it could take a lot of time.
And I believe, if memory serves me correctly, Ed was
The
involved.
ruling on the field stands as called. Touchdown.
Now, did we ever think it was not a touchdown?
No,
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
But again, I go back to this. White hats always have control of the game in the NFL.
Yes.
They surrender it on touchdowns to the guys upstairs.
That is very true.
All right, and that's the new part of this. And in the college game, the white hat is surrendering it always to the guys upstairs. And that may be where we're going with this, is where what I'm saying to you. The extra point will be attempted by Neil Rackers. And he gets it through. Outstanding analysis on every one of those replays, Solomon.
They got it right.
You got Let's take a look now at the headlines brought to you by Garrity Print Solutions, a Harvey company. And I know you'd love to touch on their the top headline there about Jim Irsay's tweet that got everybody excited on Peyton Manning.
I think the owner was I don't know that he consulted with the trainer or with Peyton Manning before tweeting, just offering his opinion. And how about the Chiefs? Todd Haley was upset when, of course, John Harbaugh called a timeout and then scored a touchdown late in the game. And I think Coach Haley could have handled it differently. Yeah. But I understand his concerns because someone could have been hurt on that play. Why would you call a timeout, run one more play with only a few seconds left in a preseason game?
Brett Hartman will kick it away. This one actually may be returnable. 5 yards deep. It's Courtney Roby. Back he comes. And he gets out to the 29-yard line. I've actually heard some special teams coaches as Hartman made that tackle after a 33-yard return. Coaches are actually asking some of their kickers to pooch it so they can find out who can make the team.
Yeah, can you help us out a little bit? How about you pooch it and we'll pooch it to you? And I think, yeah, you may have some teams brokering that kind of deal so they can evaluate the talent on special.
Now, we know you can boot it through the end zone. We look at the scoring drive, 7 plays, 72 yards, all passing plays, too, before the one to get it into the end zone. That pass is caught by Thomas. He's got plenty of room. Pierre on his way outside the 40 to the 43-yard line. Another first down, 15 yards on the hookup. And
I got to tell you,
Sharpton made the tackle.
Excellent play by Drew Brees. He was under duress. There were all kind of defensive players swarming toward the quarterback. Earl Mitchell providing pressure on Drew Brees. Now look at the pressure in his face immediately and see that ball could have been tipped. It could have been possibly intercepted by J.J. Watt. But Drew Brees kept his poise and composure and flipped the ball over to Pierre Thomas, who made a play.
4 wide receivers for Drew out of the shotgun. Sproles the lone setback, and he goes to him. That pass was hurried a bit and behind Darren. Falls incomplete.
And you can see that, you have a quarterback and they bring over a player like Darren Sproles, and Sproles kind of looked at himself and said, hey, I should have caught it. But this is the second time they've misfired on this. I think Drew's got to get the ball out in front and lead him a little bit. Anytime the runner has to turn and open those shoulders to try to catch the ball, I think that's a sign that the ball was underthrown and thrown behind him, not providing an easy catch and run opportunity for Darren Sproles.
Both of those passes were flare patterns.
Yeah, got to give him a chance to run with it.
2nd and 10. Up ahead for about 4 or 5 yards is Thomas. Mario Williams making the tackle.
Well, one thing we can say about this New Orleans Saints offense, they are running the rock well in the early going in this ball game. Going up against the #1 defense for the Houston Texans. That's got to be pleasing to Sean Payton. But you know what? He wants points on the board. This is what, the 5th offensive possession by the #1 offense, and they still have not scored a touchdown. Let's see if they can do so in this possession.
5 defensive backs in, so a nickel look. Kareem Jackson is up at the top of your screen on Meacham. Drew goes in the direction of Jimmy Graham. He's got it for a first down inside the 45 at the 44-yard line before he's thrown out of bounds by Glover Quinn.
And I want to be clear, it's the 5th offensive possession of the preseason by the #1 offense, and now you see him looking good, starting to move the chains and picking up first downs. And that's something that Drew Brees wants to be able to accomplish this preseason, is establish some kind of rhythm and chemistry with Jimmy Graham. He can be a potent weapon in this offense, particularly down inside the red zone with his size.
Ingram now out of the eye. And he forges ahead inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. Drew, 4 out of 6 for 44 yards in the air. Mitchell made the stop for Houston.
Now, what number do you think matters the most to Drew Brees right now? Getting touchdowns.
Thomas stays in the game but lines up wide up at the top of your screen. Brees comes back the other way, and that play was disrupted beautifully by, again, quite a bit of pressure from Mario Williams.
Now watch number 95, Sean Coder. He's your nose tackle, but watch, he's going to get out in front of this thing, and he nearly intercepts it right there. And then the overthrow was nearly intercepted also by Mario Williams, who was in great position. So I think that play was dead in the water from the beginning. The Houston Texans defense sort of sniffed that one out early.
Saints are a yard shy of 100 total yards, but they've got nothing to show for it. 45 on the ground, 44 in the air. Out of a shotgun, Brees. And he just has to unload it.
And they wanted to do a middle screen play, but they held the running back. And that's what Drew Brees is furious over. He said, hey, he held the guy I was trying to throw the ball to. Now watch Sproles. Sproles is the guy that he wants to get it to. See how they just tackled him. They wouldn't even let him throw it.
Yeah.
But that's a good sign that the Houston Texans have sort of sniffed out those screen plays. In some way, shape, or form, the New Orleans Saints are tipping their hand that they want to run that screen play. And Wade Phillips' group on defense, they're sniffing it out and taking that play away from Drew Brees.
And Sean Payton is out on the field. He's hot.
Well,
he still wants an explanation.
Is there such thing called pass interference? I mean, if you have an intended receiver. However, he had not gone down the field by 5 yards either. at some point, it's got to be considered holding.
Well, this is going to be a point that Peyton makes. This timeout is about sending a message for the long term, if not winning in the short term. We'll be right back. We welcome you back, 7-0 Houston. You love cars? Well, then you need to make plans to attend the 16th annual Vicari Classic and Muscle Car Auction during Cruising the Coast, October 7th and 8th at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum. It's the Gulf South's largest classic car auction. Visit VicariAuction.com for details.
Now watch this play. Antonio Smith, the defensive tackle, he's just going to tackle Darren Sproles. Look, he sniffs it out, just grabs him. He knows he doesn't have the ball. He knows Drew Brees wants to throw it to him. Won't let him catch it.
And that boot will make its way into the end zone. Well done by Morstead. And it'll be taken out to the 20-yard line, a 39-yard boot. Texans will have it with the lead when we come back.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Mike Neighbors here in Houston. Texas leading the Saints 7-0. A busy week at training camp. Here were the headlines. Tracy Porter back earlier than expected. Came back Sunday. Of course, he's not playing today. We'll be back next week. John Stinchcomb, an emotional story of the week. The longtime New Orleans Saint, a Pro Bowler during the Super Bowl season, as a surprise to many fans and to some teammates. Malcolm Jenkins missed 2 practices, and the up-and-comer Nate Bussey, the linebacker, making some plays. Back to you guys.
Yeah, Bussey has looked good. A lot of those linebackers have. And the kid, Martez Wilson, those rookies from Illinois have been very impressive. We'll no doubt see them a little later on. Here's Schaub looking long. Johnson's down there. Andre Johnson at the 32, a 48-yard hookup.
Yeah, take a look. This is the play action. And they want to go deep. And look at Johnson just spinning around the safety and is able to get open. It was just an excellent play by a good throw from Matt Schaub. And look at the catch by Andre Johnson. He beats Paul Oliver, spinning him around, and is able to get on top. And Malcolm Jenkins out not starting. Oliver is starting in his stead.
That's why he's the all-time leader in yards per game as a receiver. And there you see the run off the left side by Foster. Ellis makes the stop for the Saints. Well, if Houston was struggling a bit offensively, and they were coming off that Monday night effort, I think they got the memo from Gary Kubiak and company this week.
I think Kubiak and Sean Payton, they share a lot in common. The fact that they want to be very aggressive on offense. They want to throw the ball down the field, and they want yards by the chunks, and they have the talent on offense to be able to do it. So, yeah, they're going to try to do everything they can to put the ball into the end zone. We said this would be a really good test for the Saints defense, and right now they're being tested.
Johnson fires for 5, and there's Foster again. Touchdown. That was easy. 28 yards.
You see Sean Payton going over to Greg Williams saying, we got to get someone else in there in safety. Look at Paul Oliver, 25. You've got to make this tackle in the open field. That's just way too easy. Now, it was a lot of room for Oliver to cover, but Arian Foster led the league in rushing 1 year ago for good reason. He's a very good football player.
2 touchdowns rushing for him. Rockers for the extra point. 5 carries, 47 yards for Foster. When he was in college, he just had a problem hanging on to the football. He cost Philip Fulmer quite a few games while he was in college. He's winning a few games in the NFL, though. He got rid of fumbleitis here in Houston. The return of 27 yards by Courtney Roby. They give the New Orleans Saints the football up to the 32-yard line, and they, again, I think purposely put this one in play so they can allow for some guys that are trying to make the team on special teams a chance to make a play. Saints come out 1st and 10, trailing by 14 points, and they've really been pretty productive offensively.
Now they've been really good running the ball. Let's see if they come back with a play-action pass and take a shot down the field.
Houston, on the other hand, has had 10 plays offensively for a total of 142 yards. Thomas, who's been very effective off the left side, out to the 34-yard line. Golden Flake Snack Foods is powering the CST Twitter account tonight. Tweet your questions or comments to @CoxSportsTV, and our announcers will pick out the best ones and we'll bring them to you during the game. Also, Victor Howell will be commenting on our Twitter page from the Louisiana Cat Studio. That is at Cox Sports TV, powered by Golden Flake Snack Foods. See you there. Breeze over the middle finds Moore. Lance has it into Houston territory at the 48-yard line. Jason Allen made the stop after a 19-yard gain. Allen is locked in a battle trying to beat out Kareem Jackson as the starting corner, former first-round pick.
Nice clean pocket for Drew Brees and nice good throw to Lance Moore.
Thomas. He just will. That's a run that's very similar to the one he had as a free agent when he was trying to make this team. Just will not go down until that second or third hit.
And they don't mind running the ball behind their left guard, Carl Nix, who I think is one of the best in the National Football League. And Sean Payton has to be really impressed with the way his offensive line is blocking in the running game. Now there are some other things to clean up. Quarterback has to protect the football, and boy, they got to be able to punch one into the end zone.
We've come to the end of the first quarter. Saints had a chance to score, got it to the 4, then turned it over. And since then, the Texans have been a juggernaut. Through the end of one, your Louisiana propane dealers score 14 for Houston, nothing for New Orleans. The second quarter of tonight's game is brought to you by Louisiana propane dealers. Tim Brando, Solomon Wilcox, Mike Neighbors. Here at Reliance Stadium, we look at the first quarter stats. Brought to you by Aaron's. Well, total yards, the Texans did that on 10 plays, Sally. On 10.
Oh, they were gashing the New Orleans Saints defense, particularly running the ball with Arian Foster, but Andres Johnson is making some plays also.
That time looking for Graham, incomplete. And the early pressure from this 3-4 has bothered Drew Brees tonight, especially with the quick slants and at times those flare patterns coming out of the backfield looking for Sproles and company.
Yeah, I think there's been some mistiming on those plays. I think Drew's thrown the ball down the field very well.
Yes,
I think the screen plays haven't worked as well. I think they worked early, but then you saw in the last couple of possessions, they've been defended very well.
3 for 4 on third down. There's that slant we were talking about, just a quick look in, and there's a lot of frustration in number 9's helmet right now. He is very upset.
Well, give a lot of credit to this defense. That's Kareem Jackson. Last year is a rookie first-round pick out of Alabama. Jumps right inside. Have a great understanding of where they want to go on the passing game, and he takes away the inside. But that ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage as well by J.J. Watt. This year's first-round
They're
pick.
going for it on fourth down. I think he was so angry, he looked over at Sean Payton as if to say, this is probably it for me, right? I want to go. So they are. And the pass is caught. Should be enough for the first down. And it's Colston.
And Drew Brees is such a competitor. He pleads with his coach, hey, if I'm going to get one more shot, let me throw the football, but let me stay on the field on fourth down. And he makes good on it.
He may be short.
All right, let's see. But there's pressure in his face.
Yep.
He threw that one backpedaling a little bit. Let's see where they spot it.
Wade Phillips is
saying, no, put it back a little bit. His father, Bum Phillips, is in the building.
Yeah, we talked to Bum before the game. He and Mike Barber, his old tight end from the Houston Oilers days.
By a nose.
By a nose. It was great to see Bum, wasn't it?
It was awesome to see him. He led so many great teams here in Houston with the Oilers and the days of Earl Campbell and Dan Pastorini.
Saints first down is brought to you by Window World. Well, this is where it all began, really, for Wade. He was an assistant on Bum's staff in Houston, came over to New Orleans with Bum in 1981. Mark Ingram takes it inside. Not much doing. And a late marker comes down as Devery Henderson and Kareem Jackson go at it.
We've got flags all over the place.
Yeah, there were a couple of blows to the head there by both men. Not sure who initiated it.
Well, we saw Kareem Jackson throw a blow, I think, early. And Henderson, see, there's one that Henderson retaliates with a couple.
Little Alabama LSU thing going on there.
Oh,
huh?
yeah. They know each other well.
Little love tap here, love tap there, and there's a lot of history between those two guys going back a few years. Kareem is in the middle of quite a, he's in his third year now, and it was a number one pick.
Over personal foul, unnecessary roughness offense, number 19. 5-yard penalty. It will be second down, because it was second down at the end of that play.
It looked as though Devery was the guy that initiated it. And I should mention, he got into the league far sooner than Kareem did. But there's a little bit of that Alabama LSU thing going on. You gotta think that.
Yeah, and he said it was a 5-yard penalty, but they're actually going to walk off the customary 15 yards for that kind of penalty. So that really hurts him because this offense is moving.
He deserved it.
Picked up a first down.
He deserved it.
Yeah, he deserved it, but, you know, Sean Payton's not looking at it that way. Man, you're hurting me on my play call sheet.
Second and 23. Breeze going up top for Meacham. He's wide open. His momentum just took him out of bounds at the 8-yard line. Jason Allen, obviously a busted coverage for Houston. 43 yards.
And this secondary had been playing so well, really squatting on the wide receivers, taking away the slants. I think they squatted a little too soon. Look on the right side of your screen. Look, nice little move, just spent him around. And nice throw. If he can catch that in position, he can run in for a touchdown.
That was Ingram taking it inside, burrowing to about the 5-yard line. Jason Allen, the corner, comes up to make the stop.
You know, we talk about making catches cleanly. He makes that catch cleanly. I think he stays inbounds and he walks into the end zone. Struggled a little bit to haul it in, but after dropping one early last week, he wanted to make sure he made the catch.
Saints are in that slappy Obama Cajun seasoning red zone again. Second down. Incomplete for Moore, and that's the other pass that I was talking about. To go along with those little flare patterns, Jason Allen breaking that one up. Those quick slants, as well as the safety valves, have been the issue here for New Orleans.
It's about winning the position on the field, getting to the point of intercept. And I'm good friends with the defensive back coach here, Vance Joseph, for the Houston Texans. Remember, they were awful in that area 1 year ago, clearly playing much better in their secondary in the preseason.
Sproles the lone setback. Moore is the wide receiver at the top of your screen. Sproles gets it. That last lunge may have gotten him to the goal line. Very close. Glover Quinn hit him, and Sproles just fought forward. He's inches away.
He's 5'6", 190 pounds. But watch the little guy finished off this run with some power. Bam, after contact, look, he's still up, still lunging toward that goal line. Quinn said he's a little guy, but he runs like a big guy.
A little over a foot out.
Real interesting play here.
Fourth down, and they go for it. Out of the aisle. Ingram docks it. He gets it. He's in. Touchdown, Saints. Flags are down. I think the whistle may have blown beforehand.
Snap. New Orleans called timeout. That's their second.
Wow. Wow, they had to play.
And it was called in from the bench. Sean Payton said, it's okay, we'll run it again, we'll get it. I'm sure he's confident. But the touchdown, that never happened.
$14-0 our score. Houston with the football and the lead for the majority of this game. The Saints have it now on 4th and goal. This is it. Have to get it in here after the timeout. Ingram again. He got in again. Touchdown, Saints.
Running right behind center Olin Kreutz, Jari Evans, and Carl Nix. You do it once and you get in. You really don't expect to maybe run the same exact ISO play and be able to get in again. But these guys are so good up front. Look at Nix comes over. He pulls on the play and just plows defenders to get Ingram in. And I love the way Ingram stayed on the ground and made sure he committed with power to attack the goal line.
Well, that's the reason you draft him in the first round, right?
That's right. He jumped on the first one, got in. Second one, he stayed on the ground and used his power.
His second touchdown of the year. His other one, the 14-yarder last week against San Francisco. And the kick by Hartley is good. Saints convert on a 4th down near midfield and then carry through, willing it into the end zone with the rookie from Alabama. We'll be right back. 14-7 our score. The Saints get in on the 1-yard jaunt of Mark Ingram as you look at our Janny King scoring drive. And that's one that they needed to have before their trip to Oxnard coming up. Make no doubt. Darren Hartley will boot it away. Shiloh Ko is back deep for the Texans, number 31. And they angle it for the corner of the end zone. Ko brings it out. And he's up to about the 18-yard line, and that's where they'll take over. 1st and 10. Well, Mark got his first professional touchdown in preseason a week ago. He got his second tonight. We touched on that moment for him last week. This week,
just being able to get in the end zone first time being an NFL player is special for me, and just got to thank the teammates, the line for blocking great, and that's what really allowed me to get in. They had put great blocks for me, and all I had to do was make one guy miss.
Ever humble Mark Ingram. And Ben Tate, former Auburn running back in the game now for Houston, is stopped by Alex Brown. No gain. Maybe a yard. They may have given him a late yard. Call it maybe 2nd 9.5. If that.
And Ben Tate was a guy they had high hopes when they drafted him with the 2nd-round pick last year. He goes down in training camp, and then Arian Foster emerges as the league's leading rusher. You know, I think that job's going to be Arian Foster's for some time to come.
Unless he gets the fumble problem going again. You're right. Tate, it's free. Boy, the Saints are missing a lot of tackles tonight.
Yep.
Up to the 32-yard line. I've seen at least a half dozen or more missed tackles. That's a 13-yard gain for Tate.
And now take a look at this. Here you see the potential for tackles there. That's 1, 2, 3 guys miss, and he drags a few other for more yards. Yeah, Greg Williams cannot be happy. We said that we wanted a defensive encore in terms of the performance that we saw last week against the San Francisco 49ers. Have not seen that encore performance today.
6 of 6 for 108 yards for Shaw, but here's Tate again. Look at that. He could take this a long way. Out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Paul Oliver pushing him out.
You know, Tate has a lot to prove, but we already saw 2 missed tackles there. He's running hard. And take a look at this. There's one, and then you can see he gets to the 2nd level of the defense, so he's ripping off yards by the chunks. We saw Arian Foster doing the same thing earlier with this offense. So Houston's looking really good. Right now, the Saints not looking so good on defense.
Greg Williams was bringing Jabari Greer that time, and that did not help matters. There was not much help back there. That pass is caught down at the 37-yard line of New Orleans by Kevin Walder.
Yeah, it's no pressure. It's just what we would call a reverse bootleg. You start one way, then reverse out, and you try to isolate the receiver just underneath the coverage in front of Jabari Greer, and it's just an easy throw and catch. As the Houston Texans got some rhythm going on offense.
They really do. Tate again, the lone setback. Casey in motion out of the H-back spot, and it's Tate again cutting back against the grain. Another healthy gain of 5+. In the interior alignment, Jabari Greer, the corner, comes up to make the grab.
You know, we always talk about, you know, look at the eyes of the running back. You follow and just read and find the soft spot in the defense with that zone blocking scheme. But with Cedric Ellis, Sean Rogers, and Brayu Franklin, we expect this defense to play a lot better. Take a look at Alex Brown. Now, these guys, they know they've been on the field way too long. They have a trip going out to California. Boy, that trip is going to be a lot of work when you come off a performance like this.
Ball is tipped into the air and then dropped by Johnson. I think Andre had it. Well, was it Casey? Well, no, it was Johnson that had a chance to catch it. Off of the tip by Will Smith.
Several people had a chance to catch that one and couldn't haul it in. Take a look at Will Smith, number 91, gets up off the ground and bats that ball up. You have to intercept all tips and overthrows, and you can see Jonathan Vilma nearly having a chance to come away with an interception. But that's what your coach on defense, the ball is tipped, or if there's an overthrow, you got to go ahead and intercept it. You can see yards per play. Texans a whopping 12.8 every time they snap the ball.
And on that quick slant to Johnson, Schaub overshoots him. His first incompletions have come on this drive. Ball may have been tipped too. Looked as though Jonathan Casillas may have gotten a hand on that one.
You know, these coaches, they didn't have their players in training, in mini camp or the OTAs. They're using this second preseason game, much in the same way they would use a third preseason game. They're going to try to keep them on the field as much as possible, and they want to see execution. They want the offensive players to produce, defensive players. You have to produce if you want them to pull you out of the ball game.
On third down. Nice throw. But then the defense collapses. Jacoby Jones was on the receiving end, and Malcolm Jenkins back into the game. Did not start tonight. Oliver did, and obviously has struggled, so they got him back on the field. It looked as though that play was going to go for a lot more than it did.
Well, certainly you can see the need for improved tackling with the New Orleans Saints with Jabari Greer, and we already have 8 missed tackles so far in the game by the New Orleans Saints defense. Only 1 missed tackle by the Texans on defense.
Reckers is going to attempt, it would appear, a field goal of about 49 yards. Play clock is problematic, it would appear, for the Texans, but they should be able to get this snap off in time. They do. He got enough of it, and it's good. And the veteran of Illinois boots it through from 49 out. And the Texans' lead is up to 10. The Palace in Dallas, but just how many players for the LSU Tigers will be eligible for play in that game? And have to wait a while to figure out what it all means. What happened a couple of nights ago at an establishment in Baton Rouge. That kick was a bit too deep to be returned, and the Saints will bring it out to the 20-yard line. You know, coaches this time of year, Solomon, in the NFL, they keep getting their second-line guys and third-line guys ready, and college coaches are just hoping the red bat phone does not ring at 2 in the morning.
Wow, you're right about that.
You don't want the call at 2 in the morning.
No problems, boy. You can't handle it. Chase Daniel in the game for the New Orleans Saints at quarterback.
And he looks for and finds his man, Jimmy Graham. Youngster from Miami who's come a long way. You talk about one of the great stories. Was a youngster that had a foster mother. Becky Foster took care of her, and this year also had some friends, Tom Fall and Tim Fall, who are from the New Orleans area. He was always a Saints fan. His first game he ever attended was a New Orleans game, and those are pictures from the Super Bowl while he was still playing basketball at Miami. Had no idea he would later become a player for the New Orleans Saints the following year, that he'd be drafted. And as I said, his foster mother, Becky is her name, out of Goldsboro, North Carolina, took care of him. And his biological mother came back into his life, Solomon, after she served time in Iraq. And he has reestablished a relationship with her as well. A very complicated background, and a player who made his way to football by and large because of the insistence of the president of the University of Miami, Donna Shalala. She told then basketball coach Frank Haith he would make a really good football player. And you know what? She was right. That pass is deep and caught for a touchdown. He did it again. Joseph Morgan for the second straight week.
Wow.
Once on a kick return and now on a 56-yard pass reception for a touchdown.
And I don't know if I'm more impressed with the throw from Chase Daniel who led him. This is called throwing a receiver open. And look at Morgan go get it. Boy, the speed. They're doing what maybe the number one offense has been unable to do for a couple of weeks.
Well, we touched on Joseph Morgan last week. The incredible story he was, a sleeper in camp. Mickey Loomis told us about him last week before the game with the 49ers. Of course, he had that 78-yard touchdown return in that game, and now a 56-yarder. He is quickly becoming the star with the fleur-de-lis on the helmet. Beautifully done. 17-14 Texans. 17-14 after that incredible pass from Chase Daniel. That was, you mentioned it, how many times have we heard it? Drew Brees throws receivers open. That's exactly what Chase Daniel did to Joseph Morgan. And to Morgan's credit, I mean, that was a really speedy defensive back that he beat Daniel Manning, the kid out of Abilene Christian, one of the free agent acquisitions of this Texans team. Janny King scoring drive was quick. And takes a knee, and it'll be first down and 10 at the 20-yard line. And a look now at the Saints' upcoming schedule brought to you by the Governor's Office of Homeland Security. Oh, the preseason continues without us next week at Oakland, and then we'll close it out, Sally, you and I, on the Thursday, September 1st, to open up the Labor Day weekend, and then on to Green Bay to open the season for national television on the 8th of September.
What a game.
Oh, yeah. Past two Super Bowl champions getting together at Lambeau. Tate again breaking free. The Saints' forward wall is getting gouged. Herring again made the stop.
Yeah. You think we'll be doing some tackling drills when we get to Oxnard? Look at both teams running the ball and throwing it very well. 230 total yards of offense for the New Orleans Saints, and then Texans already over 200 yards total offense.
Tate again, this time over the left side, and manages to get to the 30-yard line, and may have the first down. Very close to it. Jonathan Casillas making the tackle. That is the first down.
That time the Texans played the run a little bit better, not giving up huge chunks of yards. You know, Tate's been a tough guy, difficult to tackle. You see Gary Kubiak. We talked about the comparisons between both coaches, what they want to do offensively. They want to run it, and then they want to throw it and go deep when they try to throw. We just saw that from the Saints offense, and we've already seen it from Andre Johnson and company.
Twin tight ends, pressure off the corner, and the quick outlet to Owen Daniels. He's to the 38-yard line.
And look at the hit on the quarterback, Matt Schaub. He turns around. He's got a New Orleans Saints defender. I think it's going to be Alex Brown, number 96, right in his face. Look at that. Now, is that roughing? Did he throw him down too late? We saw a similar play like that by Ndamukong Suh against Andy Dalton when the Detroit Lions were playing the Cincinnati Bengals 1 week ago. And I think those are the kind of calls that are going to be difficult for officials to throw a flag on each and every week.
I really thought it was a good no call.
Absolutely.
In that particular
totally
sequence.
agree. But last week with Ndamukong Suh,
Right.
it was a call.
No, you're right.
And it was the same kind of play.
Yeah, here comes a late marker.
And here we go right now.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness defense. Number 21, 15 yards, automatic first down.
Patrick Robinson got a little bit chippy.
Yeah. Calls on Patrick Robinson. Take a look here.
Sean Rogers should have let go anyway. Yeah, there was no reason for Robinson to do that.
But what was the roughing? What was rough about what Robinson did?
The elbow.
He didn't hit him.
Oh,
He jumped. He jumped. He may have scared him.
Yeah.
May have looked like he was going to hit him. But there was no contact.
If Rogers had let him go when the whistle had blown, I don't think Robinson would have thrown the elbow, but he did. Pass is incomplete, intended for Walter. This is my point. Rodgers has to know the whistle's blown, 92, before that happens.
Now, an elbow, where did the forearm hit him? On a shoulder pad? Look at that. Oh, what forearm? Wow. This is football. Let's remember. Let's remember. Okay.
And I also remember what position you played. Boy, do I remember the position you played.
And I wanted to hit people too.
I know you
But
did.
I wanted to hit them before the whistle blew. And you can't hit after the whistle.
2nd and 10. 4 wide receivers here for Schaub. And that pass is dropped. Was that Johnson? No, it was not. That was Andre Johnson. I mean, it hit him right between the 8 and the 0.
From up here, they both look like zeros.
Yeah.
But Andre Johnson normally doesn't drop these. Look, he's normally sure-handed. I mean, that's a rare sight right there. And remember, this is the only guy, along with Jerry Rice, to lead the league in receiving yards in back-to-back seasons. Phenomenal play.
Schaub was 6 of his first 7. He's now completed only 2 of his last 6. So he's cooled off a little. One more time. Why not go right back to him? Malcolm Jenkins makes the stop. That was a pretty good idea. You sort of thought that might happen, and but some redemption comes Johnson's way.
Now watch the linebacker. Right here. You got to get back. And you got to get in that throwing lane. And you got to make that a hard throw for the quarterback, Matt Schaub. That was Jonathan Casillas just needing to do a better job of getting depth in the passing lane and forcing Matt Schaub to go elsewhere with the football.
Yeah, the 5-time Pro Bowler connecting 21 yards that time from Schaub. Jacoby Jones.
You know, we talked about it, Timmy B, that, without OTAs, without the mini camps, that these first-string offensive players are going to be in the game longer. Look at Jabari Greer, not able to get the tackle. And Schaub saying, yeah, great play by Jacoby Jones, but you can see the first-string offensive player still in the game for Houston deep into the second quarter.
He's 11 of 15 now, 156 yards, Schaub. He can stay healthy. He's as good as any in the league. That's been the problem for him as he goes down back at the 20-yard line. A little pressure that time coming from New Orleans.
And he stayed healthy each of the last 2 years. He's played in all 16 games. The last 2 seasons. We said it 2 years ago when he played in all 16 games for the first time in his career. He led the league in passing yards. And once again, over 4,000 yards passing 1 season ago. Now, the passing yards came down because Arian Foster rushing yards went up. But Matt Schaub, he could be considered one of the better quarterbacks in our league.
Turk McBride will get credit for that sack as he hit the ground. Well, we invite you to celebrate College Colors Day, Friday, September 2nd. Wear your college colors to work, school, or play, wherever you are. College Colors Day, Friday, September 2nd. Visit collegecolorsday.com for more details. I wonder if Ed Hockley is still talking to Sean Payton about the tackling of Darren Sproles on the middle screen. What do you think?
Sean Payton's getting his in. He's going to coach up the officials. He's going to coach everyone up to get his point across.
Paul Crane and Victor Howell will be busy in our halftime studios, our Louisiana Cat halftime studios, with highlights, stats, and analysis of not only what's gone on here, but elsewhere in the National Football League. Jacoby Jones is wide to the top of your screen. Johnson to the bottom. You see 9 plays, 60 yards already in this drive, and there's Ben Tate again, right up the middle.
First defender finding it very difficult to get him on the ground.
I mean, that's 8 yards, 6, 7, 8 yards at a pop.
Yeah, take a look at it. Got to get him on the ground. I know he's a big, strong guy, and if you're Mitch King, get him on the ground.
Jenkins missed the
Jenkins,
tackle.
get him on the ground.
There's been almost a dozen missed tackles in this game. Kim Anderson, our spotters, counted at least 10. And I'm just going to say up front, his hair is grayer than mine. I'm going to say that he's basically missed a couple.
That's a rare sighting. That's rare. I'm going to clear Kim's name on that one. There is not much missed
Houston.
by
That's
Kim
their
Anderson.
first. It's a 30-second timeout.
I'm only having fun. CST has your fix for everything Saints with new programming every week during the regular season. Catch post-game highlights on game days at 10:30 Central. On Saints Tonight, live from the Louisiana Cat Studio. Thursdays, watch Outside the Huddle, featuring the Saints in the community. Mike Neighbors works hard on that show, and we'll bring you live coverage of the Sean Payton press conference the day after each game at 11:30. That's CST, your regional sports network, home for the New Orleans Saints.
You know, rookies, we said there was going to be a rookie watch coming into the game. And boy, have we had our eyes on some rookies. And Joseph Morgan is the guy. Last week, this punt return, taking it to the house, setting sail. I mean, there were red jerseys flying all around him, but he made it to the end zone anyway. And then they got him set sail, just streaking past Daniel Manning for a huge touchdown catch to score yet another touchdown for a second consecutive week.
Andre Johnson makes the catch inside the 5-yard line. That should be a first down.
And Andre Johnson still in the game deep into the second quarter. So is starting quarterback Matt Schaub. Boy, they wanted to correct some things, and Gary Kubiak didn't think his offense played with the same zest and zeal that they normally have in their first preseason game, and wanted to get them extra work today. You see them playing deep into this game, but they've been productive, and I think he has to be encouraged by what he's seen.
We're at the 2-minute warning. The Texans have pretty much had their way with the Saints defense all night long. Check out Cox Sports Television on the web today, from Facebook to Twitter to our Tube channel. You can like us, follow us, or watch us, exclusive CST videos that you can't get anywhere else. And don't forget to log on to Cox Sports TV for the latest regional news and information on your favorite regional teams, as well as the full broadcast schedule, including all the college football you can handle this fall. It's been a long drive for the Texans, 75 yards so far. And clearly they'd like to punch this one in before they give Schaub the rest of the evening off. They wanted to rectify a lot of issues. He's already gotten 100 yards in the first half, Andre Johnson. Twin tight ends. First and goal. Tate, why not? Untouched. That's 2 untouched runs for touchdowns against the Saints defense. One for Tate, and Arian Foster has 2, but he had one of better than 20 yards where he went untouched. This was a waltz.
Watch the right guard, 65, Mike Bryson, just road grading and knocking defenders off the ball. And yeah, it's a great zone blocking concept, because really it allows the running back to just find the seam. And they get that whole defensive line just a wall moving laterally, and he sticks that foot in the ground, makes one cut, and he's standing in the end zone.
And while the Saints defensively have missed a few tackles tonight, no doubt about that, we documented it. Let's not take anything away from this Texans offense. This is a much higher level than New Orleans faced a week ago. That's clear.
Yeah, we said that coming into the game, and over the last 5 years, Gary Kubiak has had an offense that's ranked in the top 5 in the National Football League. They could always throw it, but now they have the balance to both run and throw the football. And this is an offense every year that's going to put up over 5,000 yards total offense, much in the same way that Sean Payton's offense is going to really shred defenses. I think they've kind of met an offense that kind of does some of the same things they do each and every week. And that's where I think this is a surprise as to how easy the Houston Texans are able to move the ball against the New Orleans Saints defense.
Chase Daniel, who threw a beautiful pass to Morgan. We don't want to undersell that at all. Morgan made a magnificent play on it. He's got great speed as he got by Damian Manning. But I think Chase Daniel last week and really throughout the time he's been in New Orleans has solidified himself as a solid backup.
He's grown
to Drew Brees.
He's grown, and you remember we talked about this a couple of years ago, even last year in the preseason, that if Chase Daniel could stick with Sean Payton, he's going to learn a lot about how to play quarterback in the National Football League, and if he buys into those principles and concepts, that he's going to be a really good football player, and I think we've seen that come to fruition.
Hartman gets it through the end zone, so the Saints will start at the 20-yard line again.
Look for something with Darren Sproles. And they weren't over there just talking about what they're going to do after the game. There's no doubt that something is coming from Sean Payton that involves Chase Daniel and Darren Sproles.
Well, a great opportunity now to see with Chase Daniel and many other backups what they can do with no timeouts remaining in a 2-minute drill. 4 wide receivers out of the shotgun.
There it is.
Right over the middle and incomplete. And a marker comes down as well. Sproles was the intended receiver, just as you mentioned. Good call, Solly. Glover Quinn was there to head him off and may have gone with the head first.
This is one of the defenseless player
deals.
And leading, you can't lunge using the helmet.
Roughness. Yeah. Defense number 29. Led with his helmet into a defenseless receiver.
Well, now I disagree with that play. I disagree with the call. He didn't lunge. He didn't leave his feet. He stayed on the ground, and I mean, the helmet is the most forward part of your body. That's what you do since you play Pop Warner football.
This could be, as they say, Sullivan, the flag is thrown for intent. Okay, it looked like he might launch himself. Daniel's pass is incomplete. Victorian Humphrey, the intended receiver.
Okay, we're going to show you this is illegal. Leading with the helmet to the head of or chest of the quarterback. Okay, now that's lunging, and now you can't do that. It's illegal. Leading to the chin, and see, that's launching right there. And that's not what Glover Quinn just did. And this is also illegal. A defenseless player, not able to see you coming, but I thought he was able to see Glover Quinn coming, and Quinn never launched and left his feet.
Look out. Sproles is on the loose beyond midfield and to the 48-yard line of the Texans. Well, I think, again, we go back to an official anticipating a launch, leading with the helmet. An adjustment is made by the tackler. He actually led with the shoulder rather than the head. He did. Daniel's pass to Sproles is too low. And
every ball is going to Darren Sproles.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you can look over at the sideline. When I played on defense, I'd look at and see what the coaches, who they were talking to. You kind of have an idea they're talking to that player for a reason. And then the ball's going to go to him. You might want to watch him and defend him.
Well, Antonio Smith has had a really good first half for the Texans up front. A lot of quarterback pressures for number 94. He, of course, led to that turnover when he sacked and got the ball jarred free from Breeze. Pass intended for Billings, and it's incomplete. Jason Allen was back there.
Great protection that time for Chase Daniel. The offensive line did a wonderful job of allowing him time to get that ball down the field, but I just think they were in very good position. And watch how they just keep the pocket clean. I mean, he nearly had all day. But look at the protection here. Can you get a cleaner pocket than that? Watch how he's able to step up and drive the ball down the field.
3rd and 10 beyond midfield. Daniel has just a bit overthrown. It's intended for Jerry Payson.
Got helmets on the ground now, but you can see him. This ball's overthrown just a little bit. Boy, Faison's a big guy.
Is that Bum? He almost took
15 pounds.
I think he took out Bum on that play. Solomon. Well, I think Bum would have to.
Bum can shake it off.
Yeah, he can. Only the second punt of the game by Morstead. And a fair catch is called for by Jacoby Jones. Well, the days of Love You Blue, and he also donned the big belt for the New Orleans Saints at one time. And
Look at Bum.
He is with a,
Yeah, he goes down, but Bum backed away. He is anticipating that
There's
play.
Bum.
Look in the hat.
Uh-oh.
See, it was the bag that got it. It was the bag. That's all. But he was backing away now. It's great anticipation. He's not taking a hit like Joe Paterno now. He's not going to do that.
Bum's not used to running out of real estate on that ranch of his. He's not accustomed to that. Matt Leinart is in the game for the first time at quarterback now. This time will wind down, and Tate just carves up the Saints again. Look at that. Untouched again.
Well, we've seen way too many of these where the runner for the Houston Texans, they couldn't even pull his flag in a flag football game. And they don't touch him, and they don't pull the flag, and they certainly don't tackle him. And because he runs out of real estate, he just steps out of bounds there, and that's what ends the play. But we saw that with Arian Foster, and now Tate's doing the same thing. Sean Payton very unhappy and underwhelmed with his defense.
This is beginning to remind him more of that game in Seattle to close the regular season a year ago than what we saw last week. Leinart over the middle again. Jacoby Jones to the 35. Trying to use as much of this clock as he possibly can to get some more points on the board before halftime. Beautifully thrown and caught. Dreesen, the tight end's got it at the 20-yard line. More of the same with the left-hander in the game. 14 yards on that hookup and a first down.
Yards by the chunks by the Houston Texans. He already told you 100 yards receiving by Andre Johnson in this game. Tate's got almost 100 yards rushing, and he didn't come in till the second quarter.
Well, we talked to Sean Payton in the aftermath of last week that there would still be plenty that they'd have to accomplish prior to this game, and now we know even more going into Oxnard.
Like to have seen us move the ball better, handle the third downs better. We had a penalty on one of the drives, which set us back. So certainly, and the good news is we've got a lot of work to do, and we've got practices to do that, and we'll be able to watch the film and look to correct those things.
324 yards of offensive film for him to watch off this game so far. And we've got a marker down. That pass was thrown towards the end zone to DeVard Darling.
And it was thrown by former Heisman Trophy winner Matt Leinart, who's now in the ball game.
Pass was thrown, illegal contact, defense, number 38, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Mark Parson, the cornerback, 2 years out of Ohio.
At the top of your screen, right there. Hands on and holding onto the receiver.
So an automatic first down with the ball at the 16-yard line.
Can't touch them after they get 5 yards down the field.
Jacoby Jones is flanked to the top of your screen. Leinart steps up and throws it away. Got some pressure from Turk McBride, number 90 for the Saints.
Coming in.
Junior Gillette, too.
Right there. Pressure in his face and from the backside.
Only a couple of times tonight have we seen. There's been one sack, but that was more of a coverage sack than anything else. There haven't been too many pressures of Houston quarterbacks tonight.
Nope.
Leinart, that ball was tipped. Jacoby Jones, the intended receiver, and Jonathan Amaya came over in the Reggie Bush deal from Miami, was there to provide the coverage. Third down and 10 coming up with 17 seconds left in the half.
And boy, if you're the Saints, you want to be able to make a big play here. This is where you expect to be able to make a turnover, go in with some kind of positive momentum defensively for what has really been a first half of missed tackles and the allowance of a lot of big plays by Greg Williams' defense.
Leinart again, this time of the double coverage. Dreesen, the intended receiver, and a field goal try forthcoming.
Well, they get the stop. Kubiak wants a touchdown, even though it's his second-string quarterback.
Boy, did the Texans move it downfield quickly.
They went down very quickly. It looked like they were going to get more points, more than a field goal.
43-yard run by Tate and a 15-yard penalty against the Saints to aid and abet the drive. Rackers is 3 for 3 this year in the preseason. This will be for 34 yards and a 13-point lead. Wow, we may have jinxed him. Yeah, wide right. His first miss of the preseason.
They're trying to figure out what happened. Let's see it.
He played a draw.
And it didn't draw.
And it cut.
Yeah, it didn't come back.
Yeah.
It stayed out there.
It happens to me all the time.
You know something about that fade?
Yeah.
Little cutter?
Yeah, you can control those better, but sometimes you don't get points for them, that's for sure. Well, this copyrighted telecast of the New Orleans Saints football may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the New Orleans Saints and Cox Sports Television. We have come to halftime. Victor Howell and Paul Crane are going to be busy at our Louisiana Cats studios, bringing you up to date on everything else that's going on in the National Football League and revisit what happened here. Mark Ingram got a touchdown. Joseph Morgan from Walsh to Poitras with love from Chase Daniel. But after that, pretty much all Houston. At halftime, Houston leading at 24-14 over the Saints, and the New Orleans defense has certainly not lived up to the billing based on what we had witnessed a week ago. But I think Houston's offense has a lot to do with that. But to quote an old coach who's going to Oxnard, we got a lot of work to do. They've got plenty of time to do it.
And we told you that the Houston Texans offense would test the New Orleans Saints defense, and certainly they did that in the first half. I think Houston came out, they ran the ball, they threw the ball, did whatever they wanted to do. We're going to show you on the Cox Telestrator exactly how they was able to run it and then punch the ball into the end zone. And Paul Oliver, remember, he's starting in this game for Malcolm Jenkins, and watch, he's supposed to be able to come up and make this tackle in open field. Now, it's not an easy position to be in. It's a very difficult tackle. Nonetheless, you got to be able to make that tackle at the 15-yard line. No way should he have gained an additional 15 yards and a touchdown. But the missed tackles has led to big plays for the Houston Texans offense.
All right, let's go down to the field now. Mike Neighbors is standing by with our Louisiana Propane Dealers sideline report.
Thank you very much, Tim Brando. As the Saints take the field in the second half, I'm not sure what Greg Williams said to his guys, but I'm guessing we couldn't air it on CST. This guy knows what button to push. The first post-lockout meeting with his defense, he racked up the Marshawn Lynch play where Marshawn pretty much broke a tackle from every member of the Saints defense back against Seattle in the playoffs. Now, in practice, in the monotony of training camp, Greg Williams is always entertaining. Last year, he rode Patrick Robinson, rode him hard. This year, Robinson, a much better player. This year's target is linebacker rookie Martez Wilson. So he always knows what guy to pick on, and he always has a good line. My favorite so far in training camp, when they're in 11-11 drills, he tells them, guys, is it a rabbit or is it a bird? You figure it out. A rabbit running play, a bird a passing play. A lot of rabbits, a lot of birds in the first half. Back to you guys in the Capital One Bank broadcast booth.
Third quarter brought to you by Take 5 Oil Change. And the return by Ko is out to the 20, well, short of the 20 at about the 15-yard line. And that's where the Texans will take over 1st and 10, just shy of that mark. And Matt Leinart will be back in at quarterback. He led his team down for a field goal try to close out the first half, but Rackers missed his first attempt of this season. Look at those drives, 72, 80, 51, 80, 70. Wow.
Yeah, first 4 possessions and nearly scored on the 5th.
Leinart, the last moment, decides to get rid of it to Dreesen, the tight end. And he has stopped shy of the 20 at about the 19. Gain of about 5, maybe 6 on the play.
Now let's see if we can get a more inspired performance from the New Orleans Saints defense as you take a look at Gary Kubiak and his offense. Matt Leinart coming out. That's what I'm sure Sean Payton and Greg Williams wants to see from this defense.
Chris Obanaya opened the second half at the running back position. And the youngster from Texas, out of his third year, takes it that time.
I think what you'll see with the Houston Texans on offense, no matter who comes in, Obanaya, whether it's Tate or whether it's Arian Foster, they all run with the same running style behind this zone blocking scheme. They take that lateral step, but when they put that 1 foot in the ground, get heading downhill, they're going to attack the line of scrimmage to get to the second level.
Casillas remains in the game at linebacker. Jolon Dunbar's in the game now in the middle. And Obanaya carries again to about the 27-yard line.
So Jolon Dunbar, as well as some of the other guys, young linebackers, Jonathan Casillas, have to be able to come in and make some plays and really stop the bleeding from what has transpired in the first half. That's where the improvement is going to take place. Get in the gap and be able to make tackles.
I want you to keep an eye on the receiver at the top of your screen, Solomon. That's Lestar Jean, a youngster a little bit like Joseph Morgan for the Saints. Has been making a lot of noise in camp for Houston as a receiver that's difficult to check. That ball was batted down. That was King, I believe, Mitch King, that got his hand on it.
Yeah, Mitch King, number 75, right to the left of your screen. You'll see right there coming into play. And he's made a lot of plays first couple of preseason games. When he's had his opportunities, when he's been on the field, we've called his name off.
Yes, we have. Kid out of Iowa played really, really hard. 3rd down and 7. Leinart out of the shotgun with Obanaya, the lone setback. Pressure right up the middle of the pass is incomplete. He was trying to find Jacoby Jones, who was running a crossing pattern. Had to hurry, though, because of the pressure.
Yeah, this is Greg Williams' defense now starting to provide some pressure. Jolon Dunbar and getting it into the face of the quarterback, because I thought he had a receiver open, but give credit to the pressure right there. Jolon Dunbar coming right up the gut into the face of Matt Leinart. Pressure's not there. Maybe you're looking at a completion for the Houston Texans.
Brad Maynard punted away. That'll be the first punt for the Texans tonight. Pretty good hang time on this one. And Joseph Morgan back deep. Saints will have it. Chase Daniel will stay in the game at quarterback. 24-14, Texans lead early third quarter. Third quarter, 24-14. Houston with the lead. The Saints backups will go the rest of the way. Chase Daniel, who saw quite a bit of playing time and was very productive last week. When you look at the possession chart, Saints really moved the ball well on the ground, good balance, and then had the turnover. And then struggled a bit before having that 4th down conversion to Colston help lead them to a touchdown. And then Joseph Morgan on the receiving end of that big pass from Chase Daniel for the other. Out of the backfield, that's Jed Collins, fullback, ahead for almost a first down. At least 9+ yards for him.
You'll see him leading out of the backfield. First man out, first man catch the football.
Second year out of Washington State. Free agent pickup. And ahead goes Chris Taylor to midfield. That's a first down play. You know, you think about it, Solomon, when you have as many tight ends, and Dave Thomas provides that H-back look, you wonder if the days of Carney, those kinds of prototypical fullbacks are going the way of the dinosaur in the National Football League.
Too one-dimensional, and football coaches are looking for versatile players, and that tight end position adds a lot of versatility to the offense.
Hard to make a football team now at the fullback position. And it may be sad, and in some ways I believe if you're really good at it, there's still a place on a roster. You know, the Moose Johnston approach is still something that can be used, but you've got to be special.
You got to be special. You got to be a guy as a fullback who can change the line of scrimmage. When you come up to throw a block, you got to be able to move a guy out of the hole, turn his body to create a running lane for the guy coming behind you. And if you can't do that 90% of the time, going to be tough to make a living in the National Football League.
3rd and 4. Montez Billings, the wide receiver, to the top of your screen. They go empty now with Taylor in motion. There's that quick look in, and it's Arrington. He's got a first down with flags down.
I love the decisive nature and the way that Chase Daniel is playing. I mean, the ball comes out of his hand very quickly, he reads the defense very quickly, and making good, accurate decisions.
Before the pass, holding, defense number 34. That penalty is declined. The play results in a first down.
Dominic Barber guilty.
There's Arrington right there in the slot. Now watch him get open, get underneath, create a throwing lane, and make a catch. There you go. You have to win across the face of the defender to get open.
Daniel is flushed from the pocket and sacked. Ball is loose. Picked up. Markers down. The ball is picked up. Scooter Berry, number 67, came up with it and rumbles all the way to the 27-yard line of the Saints.
Troy Humphrey was the tight end who was trying to block for Chase Daniel. And, you know, he was kind of getting in the way. I don't know if you can call it blocking, but once Daniel tried to get out of the pocket, then he kind of put himself into harm's way.
Brooks Reed came with the pressure to knock the ball loose.
That penalty is declined. Houston's ball, first down.
Now, 23-yard return off of that by Scooter Berry.
Watch Torrey Humphrey, right here, right there, up the top of your screen, number 84. See, once he gets outside, now Brooks Reed just swarms him and is able to get the ball out. But you got to have the sense that if Chase Daniel can just stay inside of Humphrey, who was really being overpowered by Brooks Reed. So, yeah, they're going to call this a fumble.
No doubt it was a fumble. So Brooks Reed forced the fumble, and then Scooter Berry gathered it up, went 23 yards, or scooted 23 yards to give him great field position. And Leinart has Obadiah as his lone setback, and it's Chris Obadiah on the right side this time. Ahead for, again, 5, 6, 7 yards. And that's been, no matter whether it's the first unit or second, that's what we've seen. Running plays, gashing the Saints for 5+ yards on first down.
You know, they're still looking for a running game in Denver with the Broncos. And you're looking for it. It may have moved to Houston. Gary Kubiak left the Broncos, came here to become the head coach. It's that same running style you saw Terrell Davis and all those great running backs with the Broncos rush for over 1,000 yards. It's the same system that they use here with the Houston Texans.
Obadiah is met right at the line of scrimmage that time by Jolon Dunbar. First to make contact, Martellus Wilson also over there.
Much better defended that time by the New Orleans Saints defense. Yards a little bit more difficult to come by. Well, the defense came out, got one stop. You mentioned it, Jimmy B, forced the first punt of the game by Houston. Now they find themselves in what we call that sudden change situation. After a turnover by the offense, you have to quickly come out and play good defense. And so this is a good test for the Saints D.
Jones is in motion. Leinart goes the other way with the pass, incomplete. Intended for Tolliver, Terrence Tolliver, 82. He's a rookie out of LSU. When you talk about receiving corps, they've got plenty in this Houston arsenal as well. And we mentioned Lestar Jean, a kid that has kind of come out of nowhere this season, a little bit like Dickerson a year ago. Leinart, though, just one of his last 7 in the air, so they'll have to attempt another field goal, this one from 40 yards for Neil Rackers. They may give him 41. And that cutter got in just in front of the right upright.
You like that
able to
cutter.
sandwich that one right through. Saints turn it over. Houston gets points out of it. Brett Hartman getting ready to get up to kick it off for the Texans. Golden Flake Snack Foods is powering the CST Twitter account tonight. Tweet your questions or comments to @CoxSportsTV. And our announcers will pick out the best ones, and we will bring them to you during the game. Also, Victor Howell will be commenting back at our Louisiana Cat Studios on our Twitter page. That is at Cox Sports TV, powered by Golden Flake Snack Foods. We'll see you there. Andy Tanner is back deep. And Joseph Morgan, I beg your pardon. That's Joseph from the goal line. Out to the 25, and a flag comes down as he goes down. Jeff Mayle made the stop.
During the return, holding by the receiving team, number 59. Half the distance to the goal. New Orleans keeps the ball, first down.
Nate Bussey is tagged with the foul. That will back up the Saints to their 10-yard line. Just over 9 to play in the third quarter. Back to Reliant Stadium in just a moment. We know you love cars. If you do, you need to make plans to attend the 16th annual Bakari Classic and Muscle Car Auction during Cruise of the Coast, October 7th and 8th. That's at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum. It's the Gulf South's largest classic car auction. Visit BakariAuction.com for details. Daniel from his doorstep at the 10. Trying to get away from some of the pressure by rolling to the right-hand side. He was looking for Arrington, but really not much there, so he just unloaded.
And he's trying to get Humphrey to break his route off. Humphrey's one of those young players. You have to understand that once a quarterback breaks contain, and you've got to be able to ad-lib and find a way to get open to present him with an opportunity to complete the pass.
One of the bright spots tonight has to be, though, for the most part, the protection and the ability to run the football between the tackles has been there for the Saints as well. That's a 2-yard gain for Taylor. And I think the protection, obviously, unless pressure was coming off the edge from a blitz for the most part, the tackle positions, whether Street or Brown, have held up pretty well. Life after John Stinchcomb has been pretty good tonight.
And when you have the interior part of the offensive line, and we talked about it with Evans, Nick, and Krutz playing so well, and I think you've got to commit most of your pressure up the middle, and it really does help the tackles to play better.
In the flat, Taylor out to the 20, maybe the 21. That's a first down.
Chris Taylor, 4-year man out of Indiana, providing some big plays and moving the first down marker, creating a new set of downs just as a check down weapon. But watch him make people miss and watch him attack that first down marker. You always have to know where that marker is, because you can't waste time running laterally. You got to get vertical and press the line of scrimmage and hit that first down mark.
First down is brought to you by Window World. He looked a little shaken up on that play as he went to the sidelines too. Joik Bell, we thought we might see some of. There's Taylor. They're looking at, I think, his ankle over there.
Came up gimpy, as you said.
Patrick Cobbs is in the game.
And I'm sure he wants back into the game.
Patrick's out of North Texas State. Number 44. We saw quite a bit of Joik Bell last week. Daniel caught by Billings. That's a first down at the 42-yard line. Troy Nolan made the stop, number 33 in the secondary.
Watch Billings. It's a squaring route. Comes over the middle, beat his man, got inside leverage, and provided a nice window for Chase to complete that pass. Must also add that the protection was really good. It takes a long time for that play to develop, but the protection has to hold up if you're going to complete that pass.
One of the things about these receivers, Arrington's been here 3+ years and has really not had much of an impact during the regular season. That pass is picked off by Bryce McCain. First mistake by Daniel. He airmailed that one. He'd love to have it back.
Flag's going to be down, but well after the play. We said you got to intercept all tips and overthrows. Well, watch the receiver, intended receiver coming in from the left side of the screen. He throws this one high and behind the receiver. And we said if it's an overthrow ball, you have to be able to pick it off. Yeah, Chase allowed that one to get away from him. Can't be happy with the
Play
result.
was over, a personal foul. Unnecessary roughness by Houston, number 39. It's a 15-yard penalty. Houston keeps the ball, 1st and 10.
Quentin Demps, number 39, the guilty party. Daniel was looking to find Adrian Arrington over the middle of that time. That's the first poorly thrown ball we've seen from Chase. Timeout. Houston will have it at their own 34 when we return. 6:14 remaining here in the third quarter with the ball at the 34-yard line. And the Texans have the football with Matt Leinart in at quarterback. Just the one completion since coming in. But he did lead his team down for a quality drive before a missed field goal to close the first half. That pass was dropped by Lawrence Vickers, the intended receiver. Mickey Loomis, the Executive Vice President and General Manager of the New Orleans Saints, has joined us. And Mickey, the old saying that we have in preseason is, well, you always know you've got a lot more work to do, right? And after the first half tonight, probably that trip to Oxnard never looked so good to the coaching staff, I'm guessing.
Well, yeah, listen, we moved the ball offensively, but we can't turn it over, and obviously we need to do a better job, particularly defending the run. But let's give Houston some credit there. That's a high-powered, top-flight offense.
It is.
And they showed it tonight.
Let's talk about this draft class because 5 of the 6 draft picks were on the defensive side of the ball. And obviously Mark Ingram has looked really good in the preseason. Just give us an idea of what you wanted to do with this draft class, obviously wanting to help the defense a bit.
Yeah, we did. We went into the draft, looking for help, really in the front 7. And we were able to do that with Cameron Jordan and Martez Wilson. But, we also like Johnny Patrick, who was available to us at a spot that we thought was good value. And so we're looking for good things from him as soon as he comes off his injury.
Leinart's pass is caught. Should be a first down beyond the 45 to the 47. Dorian Dickerson on the receiving end. You mentioned the linebacking core. We touched on some of the, like a guy like Jolon Dunbar kind of comes to my mind too, Mickey. He's now actually playing for the first time middle linebacker, which was really his normal position. And he's been playing a lot of outside linebacker at this level.
Yes, he has. And man, he's had an excellent camp so far, and he's done some good things in this preseason. And we're kind of excited about what he's been able to do so far.
Obaniah gets it to the 45. It'll be picked up of a couple. Tremaine McBride coming over to make the stop.
Mickey, who are some of the other guys in training camp that may have caught your eye? We love what Morgan is doing.
You called that one.
In special teams. I mean, he's a guy that kind of caught everyone's eye.
Well, he's certainly not a secret anymore, but we've been very impressed with what he has been able to do in practice, and obviously now 2 games in a row he's had big plays, and so we're excited about Joe Morgan, that's for sure.
Obaniah tries to cut back and is stopped after a gain of about a yard, maybe 2, and that's about all. You told me about sleepers. I was in there last week, and you mentioned Morgan right away. Then you had the return for the touchdown. You had the pass for 54 yards and the touchdown, 56 yards from Chase Daniel. Where do you find these guys?
Well, listen, that's a credit to our college coaching, our college scouting staff. They do a great job, and look, our area scouts in particular do have a lot of pride in unearthing gems, and they've certainly been able to do that over the last few years.
How impressed have you been with Chase Daniel coming in? He seems to be a much improved player from years past as your second string quarterback. Have to make you feel very comfortable about his development.
Yeah, we have a lot of confidence in Chase, but he's got to protect the ball better, and he's had 2 turnovers in this game, and you just got to protect the ball, and you got to understand when you got to go down for one thing, and as you know, ball security is everything in this game, particularly when you're playing against a team with such a good offense.
Talk to us a little bit, if you might, about how difficult this job can be at times. I know how difficult it had to be as an organization to say goodbye to John Stinchcomb.
Yeah, listen, those are the toughest things. Whenever you have to cut somebody like John or Deuce McAllister or Joe Horn, those types of guys that have meant so much to, not just your team and your organization, but the community.
Yeah.
And that's tough to do.
Yeah.
And, John was particularly tough this week.
DeVar Darling made that catch. He's at about the 42-yard line. Jonathan Amaya came up with the stop for the Saints, and it's a first down. John was an all-pro just 2 years ago, but injuries, whether it be knees or I think the quad probably came at the most difficult time for him, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And listen, to his credit, he played through it last year and gave it everything he had. And we thought that he might be able to come back from that and regain his form, but we just didn't see it early, and so we made a decision.
Kudos to you and your scouting staff for, improving the depth of talent on the roster. I looked at this team and I said, wow, this is probably the best roster that you guys have had since Sean Payton has been here as a head coach. The fact that you can let a player like Stinchcomb go. Talk to us about how things are shaping up, battling for that starting position.
Yeah, listen, first of all, Solly, we do like our roster, although there are times tonight that it didn't look very good, but we do like our roster, and that battle at the right tackle position between Zach Strief and Charles Brown is going to be a good one, and they're both talented guys that are more than capable of starting in the NFL, and so there's no bad choice there for us.
We've got a timeout during this challenge that the New Orleans Saints have of that pass that was caught. More with Mickey Loomis from Reliant Stadium here in Houston in just a moment. Stay right where you are.
Runner took several steps after catching the ball. It was a complete pass, and he stretched out and got the first down before he hit the ground. Therefore, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It's a completed catch, first down. New Orleans is charged with their first timeout.
We'd like to thank Ed Hockley for giving us all those details. Mickey Loomis, the Executive Vice President and General Manager of the New Orleans Saints, with us. Solomon, I know the trip to Oxnard is a special spot for Sean. He loves going out there. His days with Dallas, I think, is where he discovered it. And I know you guys want to get a lot accomplished as an organization while you're there. Sometimes getting away is a good thing.
Well, it gives us, first of all, a chance to extend our training camp and at the same time get out of the extreme heat that we've been experiencing in Metairie, and that'll be particularly good for our bigger guys, and I think it'll be a good experience for us.
Well, certainly it'll be an opportunity. I live near there. I know it can be very refreshing for the players as well. How do you kind of, make it fun for them, but at the same time stay focused and get the work done? That's something that you guys are pretty used to with your many travels.
Yeah, we've done a lot of traveling. We're good at it, I think. And, the main thing here is that I think we'll get really good work. I think our guys are looking forward to it. We have a team of good workers to begin with, and being out there in that climate, I think it'll be a really good experience for us.
Obadiah remains the lone setback on second down. Leinart throws. Jacoby Jones close to the first down, ushered out about a yard shy at the 34-yard line by Mark Parson. Okay, we got one of the hosses in here. We might as well ask to get the announcer's question and incorporate Mickey Loomis here. All right, it comes from @bhoss.mac. Would you want to be a Saints defender in Oxnard this week after this game?
Wow.
Greg might be bending a few ears, you think, Mickey?
Well, he'll be in rare form, but frankly, he's in rare form even after good games. So this will be interesting this week.
Obadiah is dotting the I on third and short. And the former Texas Star is going to come up short. No gain. He may have lost a yard or two. Good push up front that time. Amaya came up to give some run support as well for the Saints.
And Mickey, now that we're a couple of weeks into this thing, have you been able to maybe put your finger on what way the lack of maybe not having the OTAs and mini camps have been a challenge for the development of players in training camp?
Well, I think I think for our young players, that's where you see, a slower development because, the guys are a little bit unsure of what to do at times, and they may be in the wrong place, aligned wrong. And so I think that's the most evident. I do think that one of the things we were concerned about was the overall condition of our team. and I think it's been excellent. I really do.
A little bit behind the 8 ball in a lot of ways, the younger players, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They're behind to begin with, and it's always an uphill battle for a young player. And this year, it's just that much more difficult.
If you take a look at where this team was at the end of last season, the way you bolstered it from a defensive standpoint, I recall you were telling me a little over a week ago that you guys had some prize free agents that you felt a real need to get in. And in most cases, you were able to get them. The foundation, though, is still so much more solid now than it was just even a year ago. It really is.
Yeah, well, I think that's a tribute to, first of all, the leadership on our team, starting with Sean Payton and Drew Brees and John Vilma, Will Smith, those types of guys. And we've got a great locker room, and I think it gives us the opportunity to be an attractive place for free agents.
When you think of that acquisition of Darren Sproles, I think a lot of times it's really easy to overlook that.
No, there's
Solomon.
no doubt about
Really
it.
is.
He's been remarkable, and you know he's going to make even more plays. Tell us what you see with Olin Kreutz joining this offensive line. He's an interesting character, but he brings with him a great deal of leadership, and in some ways can make a really good offensive line even better.
Yeah, when we lost John Goodwin and now with the release of John Stinchcomb, those are two of our prime leaders on that offensive line group. And so adding Olin is important, first of all, because he's still a good player.
Yeah.
And secondly, because of the leadership that he does bring and a particular brand of toughness that's, look, all NFL players are tough, but he's up a notch from your normal toughness. And I think that's good for our team as well.
Saints got a stop, and Patrick Cobbs takes it on first down. Mickey, getting a guy like Kreutz, and there's other examples, I believe, when guys become available as free agents now, this is a destination spot. It wasn't always that way for you guys.
Well,
but it is now for a lot of players.
Listen, we hope it is. We think it is, and certainly, again, I think it goes back to Sean and Drew and the success that we've had recently, and it's also a credit to our fans and the way that our fans have a passion for our game, for our team, and I think that's evident. Players want to play at a place where fans are excited about the team.
Third down coming up. 35 seconds remaining here in the third. We're visiting with Mickey Loomis, the Executive Vice President and General Manager of the New Orleans Saints. Looking forward to that first game in Green Bay on the 8th of September. That's a special place to start, isn't it?
Well, it will be special, but I'm looking forward to getting some things from this game cleaned up first, or we'll be in for a long night.
I understand. Another turnover, but I think it was a potential turnover, but Brown got on top of it. Number 71 to protect it. Right up at the top of your screen, more pressure, Solomon, coming at Chase Daniel.
Yeah, look at it, coming right there from the blind side. Look at that. It's going right around him and having a walk to the quarterback.
It looked like Charles Brown didn't know the snap count there.
There you go, yeah.
Well, and I believe Daniel was surprised by the snap when he got it. A real good call. Morstead will punt it away, and we've got no time remaining in the third. So, Mickey, we want to thank you for stopping by and enjoy Oxnard. And we don't get to make that trip, but we'll see you come the 1st of September with the Titans to close it out.
Absolutely, guys.
It's our honor to do Saints games. You know that.
And it's a trip that we wish we could make, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, if you care to
just take a few days off and come on down.
So my wife's on the trip. I'll ask permission before we get out of here, okay? Through 3, Houston leads it 27-14. The fourth quarter of tonight's game is brought to you by Cox Business. Morstead will punt it away. Angling for the corner. KO is back deep. And elects to allow it to roll dead inside the 20 at the 17-yard line. Let's take a look at the Napa Auto Parts stats through 3 quarters. That was a 60-yard move, by the way, by Morstead. 378 yards, and not much of it coming in the third. The Texans rolled in the first half. Absolutely rolled. And look at that, yards per rush. That's telling.
Yeah, and then the turnover ratio is one that, when you're on the negative side of that, you're usually on the negative side on the scoreboard also.
Well, I give Mickey Loomis credit. It's been a difficult night for anyone with the Saints to watch after really the way they performed last week and the optimism that reigned, I think, at the Saints facilities this week. because of the way the defense performed. But he's also right. This offense for Houston is a different league from the San Francisco 49ers. That's obvious.
But it is the kind of offenses that they're going to have to play well against if they're going to achieve some of their goals. And their goals, let's face it, is Super Bowl. After winning one a couple of years ago, they have the taste in their mouths, and they know what it's all about. And I think this is a mature team that Sean Payton has. The core group of his players have played in a lot of big games. They know how to win against some of the best teams in the National Football League. So you still expect a much better performance against a top-ranked offense like the Houston Texans.
Leinert's pass is caught. Devard Darling, number 84, with the reception. Some pressure coming at Leinert this time.
Yeah, Leinert's feeling the pressure even sometimes when it's not there. But look at Cameron Jordan in the middle of it, getting his hands up. He's an active, athletic linebacker, but still plays with good pad level and can be a real force. And this Mitch King, 75, he's constantly in the face of the quarterback.
From the 27, it's 3rd down and 2. Obaniah up to about the 29. Going to be close, but I think short of a first down. Pearson Prelo, 31, coming up to polish up on Obadiah. And they are short. Well, it looks as though they're going to wait before they bring the punting team out. They will measure, we're told. Taking a look at the Packers last night, Solomon, they look like they are kicking in on all cylinders right now. If you look at some scores from around the league, courtesy of Town Place Suites by Marriott NFL scoreboard, there you see Tennessee in the 4th leading St. Louis. These are games played obviously tonight. San Francisco in the matchup with Oakland, the Bay Area rivalry. Denver, I got to tell you, this is one of the more interesting aspects of the NFL season for me will be watching Tim Tebow this season as a starting quarterback. I think he's got a very good shot at it.
How about Minnesota going up against their old quarterback, Tavares Jackson, along with Sidney Rice, Darrell Bevel, their former offense coordinator, now all residing in Seattle, and those two teams are going against one another tonight.
Faison with the fair catch, a 41-yard boot. Off the 4th down, Sean Canfield will get his first playing time when we return.
Welcome back to Reliance Stadium as the New Orleans Saints trail the Houston Texans 27-14. Let's take a look at the Super Chevy Dealers drive of the game. Drew Brees started this drive in the first quarter and finished it in the second quarter. Some dink and dunk passes, getting the ball down the field, converting on 4th and 3, then going up top to Robert Meacham, setting up Darren Sproles to kind of get the ball down in and around the goal line. And then, of course, Mark Ingram scores on a 4th down play. 12 plays, 70 yards, 4:05 off the clock. Drew Brees getting the ball into the end zone. Not early, but certainly getting it done in the second quarter.
Montez Billings on the receiving end of that one. Bryce McCain made the tackle. As you look at Sean Canfield, youngster out of Oregon State. I like the way he throws the football. I think there's a place for him somewhere in the National Football League.
He does look good, and we've already seen quarterbacks can develop here with the Saints. If you listen to what Sean Payton has to teach you, you will get better.
Cobb's in the backfield, a youngster from North Texas. Scat back that he was there. Actually got to play in a New Orleans Bowl years ago when he was at North Texas. He gets ahead for 6 yards. I know Wright Waters, who has his offices for the Sun Belt Conference in New Orleans, is always happy to see a player from his conference get a chance to make it to the big leagues, especially a chance to don a Saints uniform. 1st and 10 from the 44-yard line. Canfield with a quick drop. And is that Billings again? Maybe. Nope, Arrington just shy of the 45-yard line of Houston. Adrian Arrington on the receiving end. And Sherrick McManus made the stop.
Arrington really has to show, and we've talked about him over the last couple of years. And he's had to make plays in the preseason. He's done that, but with Joseph Morgan playing the way that he is, you got to think that there could be some changes at the back end.
Yeah, there could be
in terms of the depth at the wide receiver position.
Well, Cobb's just got ahead for 5 yards again, very quietly now, late in the game, albeit against some of the backups. He's chewing up some yardage here. 4 carries for 17 yards. Arrington remains in the game at one wide receiver position, Faison the other. Canfield with pressure, looks to give it up. I'll tell you, the running backs coming out of the backfield as safety valves, those babies have been read by the Texans defense all night long. Tim Dobbins had Cobbs wrapped up. They have been very disruptive to those plays.
Yeah, I think anytime you see a back, these guys aren't looking to protect. These are the kind of running backs in this offensive system that want to get out of the backfield, catch the ball, and then create run after the catch. And I think if you're a pass rusher, you have to be cognizant of that.
2nd and 10. Cobbs again. The helmet goes flying and Cobbs goes down. Then Jamison made the stop. Number 96 lost his hat in so doing. May have gotten ahead for a yard, that was all.
That play never really got going and slammed the door shut. Not as much movement up front in the running game. You take Nix and Evans and Olin Kreutz out of the game.
I'll tell you, Wade Phillips could be the difference maker in many respects for this organization to get Kubiak's team over the top, maybe as a division winner or even a wild card, just into the playoffs. That's what they're screaming for here in Houston. They've been left at the altar, their fan base, the last couple of years. That pass is incomplete. Just didn't quite get there in time for Michael Higgins, number 81. And we've got a flag down. Preliminary indication holding against the Saints.
Illegal motion by the offense. That penalty is declined. Holding offense. That penalty is also declined. Brings up 4th down.
There's the illegal motion. 87. Watch it get turned up toward the line of scrimmage. So you can't move towards the line of scrimmage prior to the snap of the ball. Only can move lateral. And then 71, Charles Brown, there's the hold on the play.
Not a good night for Charles Brown.
No, he struggled. He really has.
Streif, I thought, looked pretty good early, particularly in pass protection. The Drew Brees. There are a lot of quarterbacks that aren't as effective as Drew is in terms of stepping up into the pocket. But he is. And as good as the Saints guards have been, Solomon, he very rarely gets it from through the middle with pressure.
That's why you don't drift laterally. You step up and climb the pocket. Drew Brees gets it done.
27-14. Houston with the lead. We were talking about Drew Brees. Why not? Let's take a look at our Capital One Bank play of the game.
Joseph Morgan on the catch on the other receiving end on the pass from Chase Daniel. 56 yards to the house. It was a thing of beauty. The throw, the catch, the run, the touchdown.
Leinart looks over the middle, and it is caught by Anthony Hill, number 87, backup tight end. And Morgan's got his hamstring wrapped up, it looks like there.
Yeah, with that kind of speed, hamstrings will hurt a little bit.
He's got plenty of hops.
I think his hamstrings hurt. What do you think about the defenders who were chasing him?
Obaniah head to the 21-yard line. Junior Collette was over there to make the stop. 7-yard pickup. Martez Wilson also.
We told you, no matter who's running the ball for the Houston Texans, whether it's Foster, whether it's Tate or Obaniah, they're going to be productive running the football. It tells you it's the system, it's the scheme. Not taking anything away from the individual rushers, because I do believe Arian Foster is a special runner, but when you can be this productive deep in the games, no matter who you put in there to run it, you know the system is working for you also.
As a team, they have 25 carries for 172 yards and counting after that run. They've been very effective, and again, with all of them, Tate had his fair share to go with Arian Foster, and now Chris Obanaya. Quincy Butler made the stop.
And I think Gary Kubiak, you talked about how they just waiting for a defense to show up so that they can experience some winning ways. It's kind of like what the Saints were going through before they got Greg Williams as their defense coordinator. All this offense, but no defense to kind of balance things out and to help them solidify their championship run. And that's what Houston is expecting.
Well, and let's go back, too. In fairness, here's a Chris Brown, one of the original Texans and a beloved figure in this town, missed a field goal or two that could have made a huge difference in the legacy of this organization to this point.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. They went on a little swoon there where he cost them. It was at least 4 opportunities. This was 2 years ago when they were, leading the division, and in 4 games they had a chance to either tie or win it with a field goal at the end of the game, and he missed it.
Indianapolis on the ropes at Indianapolis.
At Indianapolis and missed one, and did the same thing here in a game on Monday night against the Titans.
Obanaya again popping outside. Inside the 40 to the 36. Pussy ushering him out. Now it's time for our LSU Alumni Spotlight, sponsored by the Cook Hotel and Conference Center at LSU. Terrence Tolliver. From 2007 to 2010, boy, you talk about a stockpile of receivers that LSU has had. It makes it all the more frustrating that they were never able to amass any more yardage in the last couple of years in their passing game with the amount of prospects that they had in wide receiver. They're hoping that will change this year. Obadiah stopped near the line of scrimmage. That is a very difficult, ongoing, fluid situation in Baton Rouge today, tonight, tomorrow, and into the next few days. There's Trendon Holiday. Talk about a human blur. That guy can fly.
He can fly.
Oh, my goodness.
I've seen wings sprout from his back.
Have you ever seen him in track? Have you ever seen him run?
Not in track.
Oh, my goodness. Incredible. 2nd and 10. That pass is incomplete. That was Derek Townsell, the intended receiver.
Good coverage by Lambert on the play. Johnny Patrick is a guy that, we talked about him, one of the draft picks for Mickey Loomis. Kid's a really good player. I thought he looked really good until he came up with that injury last week.
That's right, and I'm going to tell you something else.
Yeah.
Tracy Porter, getting him back, having him healthy, we now see what happens when Malcolm Jenkins can't play.
Oh, there's no doubt.
You're not really protected if you lose him at free safety. There's Javaris Williams, number 40, taking it beyond midfield to about the 49-yard line of the Saints. Look, every team has its fair share of flaws. There's only so much you can do with the cap money that you have, how much depth you may have. The Indianapolis Colts have found a way with really a lot of free agents to go along with star players, 4 or 5 of them the last few years. Everybody's going to be, to some extent, pushed at certain positions, and I still think that, whether it's linebacker or maybe free safety, past Jenkins, you can't afford to get too many injuries or any team becomes vulnerable.
And even the Eagles, who went out and spent a lot of money in free agency.
Yeah.
We saw them the other night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We know that you can't buy your way out of the problem.
Yeah. And if I hear the dream team one more time before the real season starts, I don't know what I might do. Let's go down to the field where Mike Neighbors is standing by with your Louisiana Propane Dealers Sideline Report.
Thank you, Tim Brando. Tough night for the defense. The defensive line should be better this season. We do know this. They will be bigger. You have Alfredo Franklin coming in from San Francisco, and then you have the biggest of the biggies. That would be the largest Saint, Sean Rogers. Now on the program, it says 6'4", 350 pounds. He tells me he's actually, if you stretch the fat out, 6'5". Now he is big, but he's also impressed his team with his smarts. Jonathan Vilma has been impressed by how fast he has picked up the defense. I had to ask the big guy, how much did you weigh when you were born? He told me 10 pounds and 1 ounce. Believe it or not, guys, I weighed 10 pounds, 5 ounces. I told him that. He told me, well, I guess you haven't grown since. Touche, big fella. Touche. You guys in the Capital One Bank broadcast booth.
Yeah.
He's like, you're still the same
size. And I got news. His batteries are running out with a microphone, too.
Yeah.
We need somebody get the power charger for his RF microphone. 2nd and 9.
Lots of movement on that offensive line before the snap.
He deadpanned that line pretty well, though. Neighbors, it's almost like an evening at the improv there.
Neighbors is awesome from the sideline. Does a great job.
Sean Payton, we were talking a little bit about the schedule coming up. The decisions that have to be made at certain positions. And I think in my conversation with him last week, I got the feeling that he was as excited and enthused about the roster he was going to have in front of him. Now, that being said, you know how difficult it is, and there's a beautiful drop off to Cobbs, who's been very effective since coming in. That's a first down out to the 28-yard line. Kegler made the stop for the Texans, a 23-yard gain here, Solomon.
Yeah, nice throw, good blocking up front. Look at the wall of offensive linemen leading the way after the dump off, and that's why they've been swarming the running backs. I think, Houston Texans defense knows that in Sean Payton's offense, that back who sort of checks through the line after chipping away at the defenders on the defensive line, they're going to catch the ball. You better get them tackled, and you better tackle them early.
But my point was that I was about to make on Sean Payton is he knows that this year, and again, despite tonight's performance, and it's not been good for the Saints' defensive front, that pass is caught by Tanner. But they're going to get some calls about their waiver wire when it does hit, no doubt about that. When the game is over, don't change the dial. Our whole team breaks down the game. You'll hear from Coach Payton and all the major participants. Mike Neighbors will be heavily involved in the post-game activities, including our exclusive one-on-one interview with Drew Brees, which we do after every game. That's Saints tonight, right after the game, live from Louisiana Cat Studio. Canfield. Incomplete. Intended for Faison.
Timmy B, I want to just say one thing, because we had kind of talked earlier about how the Houston Texans defense was sniffing out these running backs, and they were sort of overplaying some of the screen plays.
Holding, tackling them.
And so you might say, well, why don't Sean Payton and the offense do something else? Well, remember, they're going to play Houston during the regular season. This is a number 2 preseason game where you haven't put in or installed your entire offense. You're not going to show them too much. So this isn't going to be an overly complicated offensive game plan by Sean Payton in this preseason game when you know you're going to see this defense again.
Well, that one should have been caught by Tanner. Thrown a little bit behind him. That game will be September 25th. That is week 3 of the regular season. It's a very imposing early season schedule for the Saints.
Yeah, it is. But, I think Sean Payton knows I can't show Wade Phillips too much of what we're going to do when we're going to turn around and play him in maybe another 4 weeks. And so I think you have to be smart. I think Sean Payton has been by just having a very vanilla offense. So, he can get very complicated with his scheme design, but today I think they've just given it the basic look, saving the best for later.
And a sack. This one by Tim Jamison. Michigan Wolverine gets the 4th sack of the night. This one of Canfield.
There's a chip. They don't chip away enough. Keep the quarterback clean.
I want to wish our spotter, Kim Anderson a happy birthday tonight.
That's right. Happy birthday, Kim.
Yeah, Kim Bob is, well, let's just say he's a spotter, not a statistician. So I'm not, now, Patrick Netherton is a statistician. I can give his age, and he doesn't want that to be made public either. The Houston fans have enjoyed themselves tonight, and well, they should. 27-14. Let's revisit our text question of the game here on CST. The Saints' all-time leading scorer in the playoffs. Who was he? Well, 34% of you got it right. So more of you actually got it wrong than right. But in a lot of ways, I could see where you could be tricked just a bit.
Morton Anderson was on this team for a long time.
Yes, he was.
Didn't play in the postseason a whole heck of a lot.
That's our CST text question of the night. TJ Yates is in at quarterback, handing off to Javaris Williams. And there you see it, boy. How big were those kicks a couple of years ago, huh?
Especially in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And even in the NFC title game.
Yep.
Minnesota still remembers.
We've come to the 2-minute warning. A lot more yet to come. Believe me when I tell you that. Not sure exactly what, but more of whatever it is that we do. The Saints will be back on CST Thursday. Note the date and time. Thursday, September 1st, Chris Johnson will make his way in with the Titans. Our full game coverage begins at 6:30. Saints tonight live from the Louisiana Cats studio. The last chance for you to see the guys battle for a spot on the team, September 1st, right here on Cox Sports Television.
You think we'll see Chris Johnson, huh?
Hey, I just read the cards, okay?
Hey, he's got this holdout thing that's taking place.
Well, he's in the promo. Therefore, I had to read the promo.
You do as you're told.
TJ Yates is still in at quarterback for the Texans. I tell you, this is a team, I know it's just preseason, but they gouged the Saints in a manner that really we had not seen since that Seattle game. And I know that's a horrible nightmare for a lot of Saints fans to come to terms with, having to revisit that a little bit in the first half tonight. But look, Gary Kubiak is in, this is a must-win season for him. This is a very big year for Kubiak and this Texans organization. And I think the point you made earlier about Wade Phillips being the missing link, the sort of Greg Williams ingredient that the Saints got a jolt from 2 years ago, maybe right on target.
Well, because the offense is so good, and all they're waiting for is a defense to show up. Remember, if they start to get some turnovers and shorten the field for an offense that's
right.
already prolific, I mean, that's what we saw with the New Orleans Saints when they made their championship run. And I think they have the same ingredients with a player like Andre Johnson, Arian Foster, Matt Schaub, a triplet of offensive weapons, as we said before, that can really light up a scoreboard.
And in a strange way, before going to Oxnard, and I sort of picked up on this in a subtle manner from Mickey Loomis when he came in, if ever you wanted more fuel for a coaching staff on its week-long trip to the West Coast,
then play a game like this.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, they're going to get coached, and they're going to get coached hard.
Big
and
time.
because of the weather and the climate there, I think they're going to feel like they can push them very hard.
And a few players tonight, Solomon, may not have made this team, but a few players may have lost any chance of having made this team tonight.
Well, there certainly
that may have happened tonight.
Some of the things we saw happen with the big plays allowed defensively, and without naming names, there are some guys who just didn't tackle well in the open field, didn't cover well on the back end of the defense.
The Saints will be leaving immediately tonight for the West Coast. And as they say, when the phone call comes in the morning in California to get back to work, it will be back to work after tonight's loss.